in the city of Lithonia, Georgia. I am Dr. Ben Gaither, the senior pastor of this great church, and I want to invite you out to one of our Power Pack services. And like I said, tonight is Wednesday night. This is Bible study. We have some amazing people that are sitting here with us tonight that I want you to hear from tonight. I want you to go ahead and call a friend, call a neighbor. Let them know that we're on tonight and that we're in the house. We thank God that we're live tonight. Not only are we live, but for those who are for our streaming family, we thank the Lord for you tuning in tonight. The 4 ways to give are already on the screen. We thank God for what he's doing. I know that you have a testimony. And the Lord bless you tonight. The Lord bless you today, and I can't wait to see or hear what God has done through you. I believe that this is the season that God will begin to do some amazing things, and we have been called according to his purpose. I still want to give you time to go ahead and let your family, let your friends know, settle down wherever you are, because we have an amazing subject matter that we're going to deal with tonight. We started talking about this thing last week, and it spilled over into this week, and we're going to do everything that we need to do in order to make sure that you have information. We need your help, family. We know that you're out there. There's a lot of things that are going on in our community that we need to talk about. But while we're here tonight, we only have a short period of time, and we want to share some amazing things with you. But before we go any further, let's just pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for who you are. We come in the volume of the book as your ambassadors on the earth. We thank you for your loving kindness is better than life. We thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to be a voice in this day and in this time. You said that the sons of Issachar were men who understood the time and knew what to do. We ask you now, Lord God, that you would guide us, that you would help us, and that you would lead us in the path that you would have us to be. We thank you now for what you're going to do. We thank you for all that you have done. It's in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen and amen. Family, we've been talking about some amazing things, but I want to introduce my staff tonight of the people that are sitting on this panel, because I believe that they are going to be a blessing to you. I am sitting next to me, Desiree Lee, who is a tremendous blessing. She is a powerhouse, and she has a story that she's going to tell us tonight that I believe that's going to bless every one of us. Desiree, I want to welcome you tonight and thank you for being here. Amen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amen. Amen. And not only that, but we have Brother Jonathan, I call him Jay, Jonathan Brown, who is an amazing man of God, who has proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that he loves the Lord with his whole heart. And I love God for what he has done. Family, we've been talking about some amazing things because we're dealing with our young people. And what I believe is that this is the season that God would begin to speak to pastors and leaders everywhere concerning what's going on with our young people. Let me just say this. The enemy has come. The Bible says in John 10:10 that he's a thief and he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. That is his description. But what we see now is that we have a spirit running rapid through our city that's called the spirit of Cain, which is the spirit of murder, which basically we're starting to see some things that we have never seen like this. Let me give you an example. In the city of Atlanta, we are in the city of Atlanta, metropolitan Atlanta area, from 2021 to 2022. In fact, November 10th, what we have had to come out from the news and what has come out from research is that there have been 58 shootings in our city. And those shootings involved individuals that were under the age of 18. Out of the 58, 31 of them died. They were killed by gunfire. Our city is not safe anymore. And we're looking at that, and we're asking questions now. We have young people that are in our audience tonight who will help us to come up with solutions. Let me just preposition this by saying this. There are shootings in our schools. we understand that the teachers that are there, they don't have a legal right to actually stop a fight. My understanding is that they have been given information or training to tell someone who is in the middle of a fight, who may be being jumped, stop fighting, somebody help me. They are not allowed to intervene or to break up a fight. We don't have enough school police officers to provide service for our safety for every school. So my question is, what are we going to do? Family, I need to put this on the table tonight because I am concerned as a pastor. It's not enough for us to uncover a problem or to talk about a problem. The number one thing that I want to know is, what are we going to do? Are there any solutions here? There are parents, single parents, head of household, mothers and fathers that are raising their children. School is not school anymore. It seems to be a battleground. I had the opportunity, Desiree, to talk to a teacher, and the teacher said something to me that blew my mind. She said, when I first graduated from college, I graduated from college with one thing in mind, and that was to help young people to get an education. She says, but I did not know that I was going to have to take up classes in martial arts just to be able to survive in the school. I am concerned. Desiree, you have a story to tell. Would you mind sharing your story with us tonight?
Sure. I want to say first, I empathize with that teacher that has to go to college and then has to take up other classes in order to help the community. She was a teacher that I had, but I didn't listen to, though. My story, I truly believe that it's warning become before destruction. I feel that my story, before I tell it, is 3 reasons why I'm sharing this, Pastor Ben. To prevent somebody from going through what I went through, to encourage those who are in it, and to show people that God can still make a way out of no way. Even though I'm not speaking to the young people, but I'm also speaking to the parents. Because parents, we try our best to set our kids up to have a better future than our own. And my mom did that, and I still messed up. I had a 3-point GPA. I had 2 basketball scholarships. Even though my parents were divorced, I never seen them argue. They were a great team co-parenting. And also, my mom did what the Bible said. Train up a child the way they should go. When they're older, they won't depart from it. My mom kept me in church, Pastor Brendan, you know this. She did the best she could, and yet I still got in trouble. 2 weeks after I graduated from high school with robes and everything, I found myself on the other side of the law with 11 counts of armed robbery and 5 counts of aggravated assault. I was facing 135 years in prison, all because I didn't listen to my mom. All because I didn't like her rules. All because I thought I wanted to be grown, AKA independent, and I wasn't ready for all that. I thought I already knew. So before I went to college, I never ran away from home. I was listening to my friends that knew nothing about nothing, but the only reason why I listened to them because my mom made it an environment to where I couldn't ask her anything. And she said, I'm your parent, I'm not your friend. Now, being a parent myself now, I understand what she was saying, but as a child, I needed a friend and not a parent. So because she was just my parent, guess what I went to, Pastor Ben? My friends. And they said, do this. And my mom, I'm your mom. Don't come to me with these questions. Education is your job. So when I went out to just try to get money because I was listening to music, I was listening to my friends. This is how you make money. Now keep in mind, because of the environment I was in, I didn't know how to hustle, so I'm listening to them about how to make money. And I thought in my mind, at that age, at 17, this is the way I'm going to do it. My mom gave me the car. I left the house with my boyfriend, and I was more afraid of my mom than the police. I was more afraid of, the fear of God was in me from my parents in church than the police. And then when I left, I thought to myself, because of what the music was saying about making money before I went to college, thinking this is the path I'm going to take, I was away for 2 weeks. When I was away for 2 weeks, this is the first time I ever left the house. When I was away for 2 weeks, my mom was calling me and she said, Desiree, I reported a car stolen. Still didn't go home. Desiree, you're going to be in trouble when you get home. Still didn't go home. Okay? So afraid. I'm like, well, I need to get this money. And that's what we see in the reality shows. We see in music and everything else. And I believed it. So in those 2 weeks that I was gone, I got caught. She had my uncle call, leave message, come home, come home, come home. And I believe that my mom, I didn't think she liked me. I thought she's just trying to be a parent. She's not being my friend. I think she's giving me all these rules, wanted to push me out the house. And I didn't realize we were on the same team. So then we went to this pool hall. I was smoking weed, something that's what I was trained to do, but that's what my peers were doing, and then I did it. And we went to this gas station. All the lights were on, Pastor Ben. I don't know if I told you this, but all the lights were on, but the Texaco gas station was closed. I did not know when we went to the pool hall that they recognized us from all those robberies we did, and I thought I wasn't going to get caught. We were on the news. It was a police officer on the other side. We get on 285. The cop is behind us. I'm saying to myself, this is the car my mom got me for graduation. She paid the insurance. This is how I'm raised. I'm not going to get caught. As long as I go to speed limit and get to Gwinnett County, thinking because we're in DeKalb, if I go to another county being ignorant, they're not going to catch us. The next thing I know, when we're driving, La Vista Road, 2 DeKalb County cop cars sitting right there waiting for us. Lawrenceville Highway, 2. My boyfriend, who I thought loved me and was trying to help me, wasn't for me, he was for himself. And he lived this life, but I didn't. I'm like, why are you tripping? This is not what I do. I'm thinking it's like TV, the first 48 and all this stuff. I think I know already. We go to 78. We're on 285. Okay? The next thing I know, Pastor Ben, it was a white light around my car. I look up, I'm driving the speed limit, and I look up out of my car, it's a helicopter. The DeKalb County did their formation, pulled us in the middle of 285. I still didn't think they were after us for the robberies. I had my hands up, my foot on the brake. I gotta put the car in park, I gotta put the car in park. They opened the door, put it in park, dragged me out, put me in a cop car. I'm in the back of the cop car, and the officer looks back to me. He says, do you know what we're locking you up for? I said, yeah, I know what you're locking up for because this is my mom. She's so mean. She got all these rules and everything. I know what you're locking me up for. My mom reported a car stolen. He types it in. He looks back at me like a father, and he says, the car's not reported stolen. And that's when I busted in tears that I realized in that moment in the back of that car that all those threats on the phone for 2 weeks, she was trying to get her baby to come home. And when I want young people to realize, when we give birth and we have our kids, we don't want you guys to have the worst life ever. We don't look at you and say, we want you to be a convicted felon. We want you to go to jail. We want you to have a harder life than we did. We look at you and we say, we want you to have the best life, and the rules are in place to help you as you get older. And I didn't realize that even though my mom had those rules and I was more afraid of my mom than the police, my mother was trying to get her baby to come home. And that's when it all started.
So let me ask you. So are you saying that you were arrested?
Mhm.
Am I right? What were you arrested for?
I was arrested for 11 counts of armed robbery, 5 counts of aggravated assault, and I was just a driver of the car.
So you didn't commit any of those crimes?
No, I was just a driver.
You were just the driver.
Yep.
So when you stood in front of the judge,
Hmm.
what did the judge say to you? Do you remember that?
I do remember it, and I remember it verbatim, like it was yesterday. So after they interrogated me. My mom is coming to visit me. My family is coming to visit me. They were there. I've been in church all my life, but I never seen God for myself. I'm gonna be honest with you, Pastor Ben. I never. I see people say their bills are paid, checks in the mail in church, and I never believed it. When I went in front of the judge, my mom, I knew how to pray. And the scripture I held on to was, God has a king's heart in the palm of his hand, and like the rivers of water, he can change it. And that's what I held on to. I stood in front of the judge. I was supposed to plead out to 10-7. And I'm standing in front of her, and she gave me 10-4. And she said, I don't know what it is about you. She started writing like this. And I'm standing in front of her, ready to plea out. She said, but I can't give you the First Offenders Act, and which is in Georgia, if you do a first crime, they'll wipe it away or give you probation. Because you knew what you were doing the first time, the second time, the 11th time. But what I can do for you is give you 10-4. She gave me grace. Instead of 10-7, she gave me 10-4. And she gave me some grace. And she said, if you ever sat in prison or jail, write me. And I can't wait to see, she's still writing, I can't wait to see what you do with your second chance.
Wow. Let me make sure I have this information correct.
Okay?
So you had a 3.8 GPA. Is that correct?
Yes.
You had 2 basketball scholarships.
Wake Forest, LSU.
Wow. Okay. And you also stated that you had been with your boyfriend and you were riding in your car, not his car.
The car my mama gave me. It wasn't my car.
Okay.
But it was my car, but my mama gave it to me.
So in the process, after standing before the judge and the judge sentenced you to, let me ask you this, are you a felon?
Yes, I'm a convicted
Okay,
felon.
you're a convicted felon. So, and I want you to tell me what that means in just a moment, okay? But here's what I want to ask you. Coming up in that particular area, as you were coming up in school,
Yes.
did you ever see yourself going to the right, or did you ever see that your mother was actually there for you? Could you see that? Could you see that your parents were there for you and they were trying to do the best that they could to make you successful? Could you see that while you were going through being
I didn't see it until I
a
got
young
in trouble.
person? Okay. So when you got in trouble, okay, one of the things that you did not know, okay, I received a phone call and I headed in the direction that you were there because I wanted to see you, and because of where I was able to get in, and I was met by
I will never forget
an
it.
individual. Do you remember that? I was met by an individual, and the individual says no. At that point in time, you had already signed a confession. How many years in prison did you go? Wait a minute, let me ask. What's the difference between the prison and a detention center? Because first you had to go to a detention center. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what was that like?
Okay, so one armed robbery, what kids don't know, if they are going to commit a crime and follow their friends. Even though I was just a driver, it was 10 years minimum. At one of the places that we robbed, even though I was in the car, the gun went off. So aggravated assault doesn't mean the gun goes off. It doesn't mean that you shoot somebody. It means if you point a gun at somebody, the minimum, just for pointing a gun at somebody, the minimum is 5 years. I want people to understand the minimum I was facing was 135 years. Everything my parents worked for, everything I worked for through high school, 135 years. I would not have made it out. We talked about the judge. It was only because of grace that I got that, but everybody doesn't get grace. Okay. So just if you do make a mistake, don't expect that you're going to get the same outcome as me. And even though I had the whole Stronghold Church was in the building, my mama, everybody was in the building supporting me. Everybody was there, and I still went to prison. Pastor Benz asked me, what's the difference between detention and prison? Keep in mind, I was 17. The difference is, because of the crime, especially in Georgia, it's the South, I was still charged as an adult. You will get charged as an adult at 10. You will get charged as an adult at 11. You'll get charged as an adult at 15. You'll get charged as an adult at 16. You'll get charged as an adult at 17, and even when you turn 18. So don't think if you commit these crimes, they just gonna let you pass. And keep in mind, I was just in the car. Okay, so the difference between prison and a juvenile detention center, it's based on the crime, and they put me with grown women that have life sentences and have nothing to lose. So in that place, Pastor Ben, you told me, do you know this or any other? And I didn't realize it. I thought I was going to get probation, I'm going to get off, I'm a good student, I'm this, that, da. No. I'm in there with women, grown women, that have life sentences that had nothing to lose, and I seen the unforeseeable, and it was only God that kept me in that place, and I'm really grateful that it came out with all my fingers, all my toes, and I don't look like what I've been through.
Did you see fight? And I'm so glad that the Lord moved. Did you see fights while you were in prison?
Not just fights, I seen rapes with plungers.
Wait a minute. You were in an area.
Over a piece of gum.
Over gum.
Over a hamburger.
Stamps. Things of this nature.
Exactly.
Candy bars.
Yes.
Okay. I want to switch gears for a moment.
Sure.
Okay. Because I'm going to come directly back to you. Because here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that we've got a system that's also, that does not care about anything.
They don't.
So when you go to jail, there is nobody there that cares for you. There are people that are looking at you, and that place.
They make money off of us.
Oh, they make money off you. I want to ask this question, and then I'm going to Jonathan. But I need to ask you this question. Based upon what you're seeing right now in the school system today, and I know that you're like I am, and we are all in the mode, how can we stop this thing? What do you see that's happening to our young people today in the school system? Because we have, it's sort of like things have changed. Here again, I look at where we are today, what the school system looks like today. Tell me very quickly, what do you see in school today as it relates to teachers and as it relates to the students? Can you speak on that for me?
Yes, I can, real quickly. We're not on the same team. I remember a teacher, I want you to graduate. I want you to prosper. This is what I want. The kids feel like they're not being heard, and so they're acting out. They don't understand that we are on the same team. It's just like we're both trying to win. The best way I can explain it real quickly is, if I'm on an NFL team and I have a coach, we all want to win the Super Bowl. I don't don't care if he drafted me, I'm the best player, the #1 player in the nation. I got to listen to my coach because my coach don't want me to go out there and mess up. It's the same thing with the school system, and it's also the same with the parenting. A parent does not want their kids to just push them out there and they don't have how to pay the rent, credit, this, that. A teacher doesn't want them to be uneducated, this, and that. They know how hard you got to fight for your education. We're not on the same team. That's the problem. We're not on the same team. We're not seeing it the same way. I don't care if you're older, you're younger, we're not seeing it the same way. If we get on this, if the kids understand that, hey, look, we're trying to win the Super Bowl together, I'm the coach, you listen to what I say, just like my mother used to say, you either listen to me or you'll listen to somebody. You either make up your bed at home or you're going to make it up here. If the young people understand that your parents don't want you to stay in the house until you're 30, 40 years old, they're trying to train you up so you can stand on your own 2 feet. The teachers are trying to train you up so you're good for college and you have that security and that confidence. And the kids need to understand, these are my teachers, not my enemies.
Wow. Thank you. Jonathan, I want to ask you this question. You're a father raising young men. Based upon what you heard Desiree say today, what are your takeaways from this? Do you, being a father and having young men, that you're growing up and you're doing a fantastic job, by the way, of raising your family, raising your sons, and being the father and the primary caretaker of your family. Would you speak on that for us?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, my heart goes out to you. I'm thankful to God that he protected you, that he kept you, and he allowed for you to make it back. Amazing story, man. In reference to what I've heard and my own personal experience being a father, I just hear that there's a major disconnect. There's a disconnect between the system, the support system, the education system, the parental system, the judicial system. It's a major disconnect. Nobody is listening to anyone. I just keep hearing over and over that the children are not feeling heard. And that's an issue. I keep hearing teachers are disengaged with the students. They don't want to listen to the students. And I don't know if it's because they're frustrated because they don't have the tools or they don't have certain, like support to be able to do their jobs properly. It seems like everyone is frustrated, and it's really troubling because this is our future. These are our children that we're talking about here. I always say that children are young adults. They have some of the same feelings, some of the same thoughts, some of the same responses to certain trauma, certain issues. They just may not be able to express it in a way that an adult does. But I think it's a major mistake for parents to say, hey, you don't understand this, and all you need to do is be worried about school, and you don't have any problems. You're not paying any bills. You're not depressed. What are you depressed about? I hear those type of conversations, and it really bothers me. Now, in reference to my kids, growing up, I always did just really abhor and hate that conversation. Just do it because I said so, and I'm your parent. I'm not your friend. I'm not your peer. Don't come to me with issues. This is the responsibilities that you have. This is the path that's laid out for you, and do it because I said so. That really, really bothered me as a child, and so I vowed to try to figure out a different way with my children. And one of the things that my wife and I do is we have a family forum every so often, and I tell my boys, I say, hey, what's going on in your life right now? This is a worry-free, punishment-free zone. Tell me what's going on. What are you experiencing in school? Is anybody bothering you? Has anybody touched you? Is anybody approaching you in a weird way? How do you feel about what we're doing in the home. Do you feel like daddy and mommy are doing a good job? What can we be doing better? Are we listening to you? Is there anything that we can help you with? You know, and it works pretty well with my personal family. With my boys, I am their friend. I'm your best friend. That's what I tell my boys. I'm your best friend. You don't have a friend that loves you more than I do. I want the very best for you in everything, in every way, in any situation in your life. And just like you were saying, you felt like the lines of communication were closed between your mom and you. And so what parents don't realize is the kids are going to get the information from somewhere. So do you want your kids to get the information from someone that is their peer and essentially being, right, essentially the blind leading the blind? Or do you want to give them some heartfelt, situational life, life experience information to help them to just fare well, in life. So that's my approach with my boys. I mean, and people, I still hear other parents say, "Hey, man, I don't completely agree with your style of parenting." And I say, "Well, you know what? That's fine. And your kids you can raise in the way that you feel and see fit. But I want to know what's going on with my boys. And I want them to be able to come to me and tell me anything that is bothering them. And I want to let them know that I am going to advocate for them in any way that I possibly can. I show up at the school. I show up at the counseling. I show up at the PTA. I am present at any school my kids have gone to. Their teachers and administration will let you know. You call me, I'm on the way.
Okay. Jay, let me ask this question, and I just want to put this out on the floor because we do have parents in the building tonight, and we also have young people that are here. I keep hearing both of you say that there's a disconnect between point A and point B. You've identified what point A is, and you've identified what point B is. I want to talk from a teacher's perspective and look into this just for a moment, because one of the things that I had the opportunity of doing is standing with teachers and hearing some of their frustration. Their frustration is we're governed by a bunch of rules and regs. We want to be able to teach the kids, but we are not able to spend the time with the kids because of the size of the class, number one. Number two, because of many disruptions. Parents are not feeding their kids, and they're coming to school hungry. They're not prepared for school as it relates to the academic component. Kids that should be reading at a higher level are reading. Most of the teachers that say, and we're talking about 7th graders, who are telling me that my students are reading on a 3rd grade level. I have 7th graders in my classroom, and now in the school system, if you as a teacher, if you say, well, your child is not ready to go to the next level, you as a parent can protest that regardless of the academic component or whether or not the child is prepared to go. You can protest that, and if you present a feasible reason, they will actually pass your child to the next grade. I want to say this because this is where the school system is going. One of the things that you told me earlier, Desiree, is that you homeschool your kids. Okay, your daughter is homeschooled. One of the things that we talked about at school that's not too far, a county that's not too far from here, for the last 12 years, they have been practicing the homeschool component, and they have it down packed. There will come a day and time when we will no longer have brick and mortar because of the main reason that it's too dangerous for teachers, it's too dangerous for the students. I'm hearing students say this. We talked about from the teachers, but I'm hearing students saying that they get jumped when they go into class. I was talking to a youth the other week, and she said this to me. She said, I'm in academia. In other words, my grades are good, but I sit in school and I say nothing because I don't want to be bullied. She said, I don't go into the restroom. I don't go into the restrooms to use the restroom. Says, I bring a cup from home because, and my teachers allow me to go to the back of the room because I don't want to be jumped. At 15, at one particular day, at one particular school I'm thinking about, I'm sorry, there between the hours, if school starts at 8:30, by 9:15, there are at least 20 kids that are in ISS. ISS is in school suspension, where they sit there all day long, whatever the sentence is. If my dress is too short, if I didn't wear the right, if I say something to you as a teacher, I'm automatically sent to ISS, where I sit in a classroom with a paraprofessional who may not even have a college degree. But that person is a babysitter for that student, and that student is sitting there all day long. Here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the kids make this statement to us as adults. I want to be heard. I'm never given a voice. I'm always told what to do. But every time I try to express myself, I have to worry about the repercussions of what I say. I need an area that I can actually express myself. My mother does not understand. Yes, she's the taskmaster. She tells me what I can and cannot do, but I cannot hold a conversation with my parent because my parent does just that. I get judged for what I'm saying. For example, one parent says, her daughter was talking to her, the child was saying rather, she was talking to her about growing up and her body was changing. And the first thing her mother said is, go to your room. I don't want to hear what you have to say about sex. I don't want to. So here again, if I can't talk to a parent, like you said, Jonathan, if I don't get it here, I'm going to get it someplace. And I'd rather get it from someone who loves me and than to get it from somebody who does not care. I'm going to say this. I'm going to move from this panel for a moment. And there may be questions that the audience has that we can answer or that the panel can answer. I have parents that are here. I'm going to ask them to come to this mic. I'm going to ask the parents to come to the mic. If you have questions, I want you, or if you have concerns, I want to hear what you have to say as a parent. I called the parents first because I want to know what they have to say concerning what this panel has said tonight. Is it relevant, or are there things that we are actually missing? So I'm going to start on this side. Would you tell us who you are, and would you mind stating, the mic should be on.
So I'm Altanese. I have 4 children, 27, 26, 21, and 18. So I get it. But the way I parented my older 2 compared to my younger 2 was totally different. I was your mom. I'm not your friend, I'm your parent, but I still wanted the communications to be open. Do as I say, that way. But I came into roadblocks with that. So, as parents, we don't have booklets on how to be parents. It's a daily lesson. So with the 18-year-old and the 21-year-old, I said I would do things different. I listen more. They make me listen. If I don't want to listen, they come and they talk because I didn't understand it. My daughter lost her father about last year, and I didn't know the things she was dealing with. And she told me one day, she said, you just keep pressuring me. I didn't feel like I was pressuring her because all I was thinking about was the tuition that I was paying. But she told me, you're pressuring me, you're putting too much on me. And she sat in the room with the counselor and she said, I have no purpose. I completely stopped dead in my tracks because I'm saying she has been crying out to me, even though I'm listening, but I'm really not listening to her cry out. And we just had to change the things we were doing. I implemented therapy. I know the more seasoned we were taught that we don't do those things. We keep these things in the home. I totally disagree because we wouldn't have adults like me, some other people that have issues, and that's where the problem comes into. I don't just completely blame the school system. It starts at home. But when you have parents who have been through things, hurt, whether from rejection, abandonment, anger, whatever it is, and they don't seek help, we inflict that on our children, whether intentionally or not. Hurt people, hurt people.
Wow.
That is true.
Wow.
So we don't know how to help them because again, my generation, you don't deal with therapy. But I had to go through therapy about 5 years ago, so I know it works. You have a place, a safe place, where things I can't communicate to my mom who don't listen at 65 because they are stuck in their ways. I can express myself freely, not be judged, and now you're giving me a new area of how to redirect things and how to look at things different, apply boundaries, and that's what I wanted for my children, to be able to speak freely if you can't talk to me about certain things. And it helped. Now my daughter is back in classes. She's taking her classes. She went back in August, and I'm proud of her because for her to tell me that truly hurt me because I felt like I failed her because I was applying pressure. So we can't just say the teachers. We as parents have to be supportive to the teachers. We have to be engaged in what these children are doing, be engaged in school to help the teachers, talk to them, because the teachers would help parents when you talk to them. They don't know every child's situation, so you have to talk to them. So I'm like you, there is a disconnect, and we have to help one another.
Right.
To help the
Thank you.
children
And ourselves.
and our sisters.
I was gonna say accountability is key. Everybody can't keep pointing the finger at everybody else. It's a collective issue. Everybody needs to figure out what they can be doing better from teachers, children, parents, peers, aunties, grandmas. You know, everyone has to stick together, and we have to figure this thing out together.
Exactly. And I want to say my condolences to your children's father, but I'm also, you're teaching me too. And thank you so much for coming up because you didn't have to, and I'm glad that you did. But what you said to me was, you know how you have your parents telling you how they were raised and all that, and like you said, the secrets. But I hope somebody heard you tonight about we have to help ourselves. Yes, we have to be a team with the teachers, and teachers be a team with us for our children. I'm so happy that you say you had 2 kids, but then, hey, look, I'm going to change it. I'm glad that even the counselor said this, that you heard it because you could have ignored it. And then, but the key point I heard was therapy.
Therapy.
That we go through stuff ourselves and we are stressed out. Even our kids are stressed out, but we're stressed out too. And taking care of ourselves so that we can teach our kids, okay, honey, I know you say you didn't have no purpose now. Mommy is working on herself. We're going to work on this whole thing together, but also teaching her how to open up too as well. And your sons and everybody else too as well. And I think that's important to emphasize.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Would you tell us who you are, and would you just, I know you got something.
Yes, my name is Lucy. I have three babies, 26, 13, and 8. I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry. My oldest has autism, so I'm really learning how to raise kids with my 13 and my 8-year-old. I teach my kids to love one another. Every morning they have to hug each other. Every morning. I tell my daughter she's beautiful and smart, and I tell my son he's smart, handsome, and kind. I give that encouragement to them. I'm like you. I am my kids' friends, but I'm also mother and mommy. So they know if they do wrong, but they still are. I'm still open enough for them to come and talk to me and express to me anything they want to express. And my daughter, if she acts different or she has an attitude, I know that something's bothering her. So I tell her, when you're ready to talk to me, come talk. I'm not gonna pull it out of you, because that make her clam up more and not want to express herself. When my youngest get older, I will tell him the same thing, but I'm already telling him now. I'm telling them that don't be a follower, because followers are the ones that get in trouble, and the followers are the ones that die. Be a leader, because you can stand on your own feet and don't worry about anyone else around you, because you will be the one to get in trouble, not the person that you're following.
Are you fine?
I want them to, I said before, I'd rather them come talk to me to learn anything in the street, because the street would drag you. Mommy won't drag you. I would defend my babies to their father, anyone. disrespects them because they're kids. Get disrespected by adults as well. So I had to stop that. I'd rather them come talk to me instead of them not being open and either hurting themselves or hurting other people or hurting each other. Something that happened in the news about a young lady that went to Mexico and her friends killed her. I teach my daughter that everybody is not your friend. I'd explain to her what a friend is, and if this person is your friend one week and then they're talking about you the next week, then they're not your friend. You know, you only have one true friend, and that's me. Even though sometimes it's not, but I make sure that they know I'm always here, regardless of what's going on. If I'm quiet, let me walk away, cool down, because what you told me, I had to think about, process it. But I make sure they know that I'm here, no matter what, and I even love on them. My daughter, she plays sports. She plays volleyball, basketball, and she runs track. So I push that on her. And my son, he draws. So any interest they have, I make sure I encourage that and keep going. I tell her all the time, you can get a scholarship with all 3 of those sports. I even tell my son the same thing. I get him things to help him want to draw better. He could look at something, he could look at the flower and draw it like that. And my 8-year-old can. And my daughter, she just picked up sports and she loves it. So I encourage them to do that. If I'm at every game, so when I get off work, if I'm tired, I'm at every game.
Come on, Mom.
So I get up and sit outside in the cold on the track with them, you know, while she runs around. And she knows I'm kind of crazy, so I'm the one that yells and screams.
No.
But I'm showing that I'm loved them.
Say it ain't so.
No matter what you do, I'm always there. And if I punish them, I explain to them why I'm punishing them. I love on them and kiss them. Then I tell them to go to your room.
That's wonderful.
I want to say to you, you are my mom. That's how my mom was, and I still got in trouble. So what my advice to you is, have a safe word. Have a safe word where you create with them. It can be red flowers, pink roses, because the problem was I didn't know how to come home. I had my mom. She set it up, this. She set this and the other. She was there. I had 2 scholarships. I couldn't do it by myself. I had a mom. Even if she was single, they're divorced, even though my dad was in my life, don't get me wrong, okay? I went to church and all this, right? You are my mom, but I still got in trouble. I'm not saying they will get in trouble, but I just didn't know how to, I felt like I was a disappointment, so I didn't know how to go home. So I think if I called my mom and said, Mommy, pink roses, and she said, okay, what's going on? Mommy, I try to do this and then the other. I'm in trouble. I'm trying to get home. I'm scared. Like Jonathan said, he has meetings of his kids with his wife, right? Of, hey, what they're doing wrong and this and the other. But if I find myself in trouble, how do I say this to my parents? I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to feel like you failed me. I don't want to fail the family because all this stuff and everything else. And what you put in, my single mama, you make sure we eat and all this stuff and everything. And now I'm out here and I'm more afraid of the police than I am the thing. But if I went home, even though I was in trouble, I would have had my lawyer. I would have had this, like you heard what Pastor Ben said. Pastor Randy told y'all he couldn't go up because I didn't request it. I was already booked, and I didn't even know this part of it. When I get in trouble. Not saying your kids are getting in trouble, but we don't know what to do when we do.
And
So I just say,
I'm glad that she heard
even
your
in
story.
that, even in what you're doing a great job. I'm not saying veer off of it. I'm not saying change it. I just say, just add a safe word. Hey, babies, if you do find yourself here, you know you can always come to mommy. You can always come to daddy. If you do find yourself, because it's called death by receiving. Maybe your sons go to Walmart with their friends and they're stealing, and they don't really know. They're just going to Walmart. They don't know this person is stealing next to them, and they get caught up in that. And now they're here and they don't know how to tell daddy. They don't know how to tell mommy. And you don't even know where your kids are at. You're like, this is abnormal. My child never been away for 2 weeks. What is going on? And you're trying everything you can to get them to come home, but you don't know what's going on. Safe word. And in that safe word, you have rules. Like Jonathan said, when you have the safe word, I'm not going to get mad. I will listen to you first before I react as a parent.
And it's hard sometimes.
You can tell me, and then we're going to work it out, and then you be the parent and everything else, because I do agree with being friends, and I also agree with being a parent, and I also agree with what you both are doing, and I love it. Having that safe place. But if they are in trouble, find themselves in trouble, maybe it's a car you gave them, and this person has weed, and they don't know. They don't know how to tell mommy. They don't know how to tell daddy. So I'd say, safe word. That's the only advice I can give you. Just in that moment, don't chase nothing. Add a safe word,
And
so
I'm
they
glad
know
that
how
she-
to say it to you.
I'm glad that she heard your story, because the things that you were saying about what your mom would say, or what you was thinking, I told her the same thing.
Right.
And I'm whispering back there like, didn't I tell you that? She's like,
Right.
yeah, so I'm
And
glad
that's
she
all
heard
my
your
mama
story.
wanted, regardless of how strict she was or the rules in the house, what I didn't like. She wanted her baby home like this is abnormal. She did the best she could, but I didn't know how to come home. But if I could have said, hey, mommy, eat roses. I want to come home. And I didn't want to come home, but I was just too afraid because I felt like I disappointed her, especially all the stuff I accomplished. I didn't know how to handle that.
I want to say something to the parents really quickly. Something that came to me a couple of weeks ago. I've been thinking about. You think because you birth children as a mother, you birth a child, or as a father, you provide, protect, and you spend day after day with these kids. You don't think about the fact that there still is a trust building exercise with your kids. Now that just came to me a little while ago, and I realized that, like, okay, we're still getting to know each other. When I meet somebody, I don't just immediately give them my trust. So we have to be patient with our children and explain to them, hey, look, I'm here for your best interest, and I'm going to continue to remind you that I'm here to protect you. And everything that I'm telling you is for your benefit. My oldest son is 11, and I'll tell him something and continue to try to drill something into him, and it just seems that he doesn't pick it up. And then a situation will happen, and I come back and I say, look, son, it happened just like Daddy told you it was going to happen, didn't it? I say, when are you going to learn to trust me? Because I only want the best for you. I know it seems like I'm jumping down on you, but every time I say, every time I tell you something, it's going to happen a certain way. It happened, don't it? Yeah. I said, so when you going to trust me, son? Just trust me. And I mean, looking at it from a spiritual standpoint, I mean, the more I learn about my kids, the more I learn about my Heavenly Father. He only wants all the best things for me. No good thing will he keep from me, you know?
Right.
But with us in our spiritual path, well, I can just speak about me. I know some of y'all, gave 100% trust to God from the beginning. But for me, some of those things I didn't understand. Some of those things I didn't want to do. Some of those things didn't match up with my lifestyle. But the older I get and the more I see, when it says in Proverbs, some of those wisdom things that it says, I said, man, it happened just like he said it was going to happen. And had I just trusted him, then maybe I wouldn't have been in XYZ situation. So parents with your children, man, don't get frustrated. Just realize they're growing to trust you too.
So how do you do that? Because Ultra B said she had 2 kids. That she changed her parenting with the other 2 kids. She just came up here and told us that. Like always, we say as parents, kids don't come with books. And like you said, you're learning. So what, maybe 2 tips that you can give on how to build that trust? Not necessarily like rules, but how did you choose to build that trust in learning with your oldest? Because you say you have what, three?
I got three. I have 11,
Three,
5, and 11
three
months.
boys, right?
3 boys, yes, ma'am.
So, but you said with your oldest, you had to build that trust. Can you give us some tips, and me as a mama too? How do we build that trust, not just with our kids, but also build the trust with the teachers?
Well, for the kids, transparency works with me. You know, I tell my oldest son, Jude, I say, look, man, I've been in your situation right now, and I was bad. I was a wayward child. I was upset. I was very disobedient, disrespectful, and all of those things. And I explained to him what those things got me, the situations that I put myself in unnecessarily, the strife and the grief that I caused my parents. You know, I try to give him a real outlook on what I've experienced and why I'm telling him not to do certain things. Not just, you know, if you do this, this is wrong. Okay, how is it wrong? What is the end result if you do these things? And I really always try to let him know that Daddy is nowhere near perfect, and I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm just asking you to trust me and to listen. Now, as far as the teachers, I build a rapport. I try to do the best I can. It's been difficult ever since COVID has happened, but I try to build a rapport with the teachers. I come in and I let them know, hey, you know, I'm an active father. I'm a husband. I'm not one of those parents that's going to say, oh, no, not my child. Let's talk about what's going on. You know, I know that my child, you know, is going to do some things that he ought not. But I try to ask them, hey, this is my cell phone number. Before you suspend him, before you send him to the office, if you could, call me. And I will come up there and I'll do the best I can to straighten him out so that he can understand what he did wrong and that there will be consequences.
So what I'm hearing you say, Jay, is I'm hearing you say that there are two relationships that you build. One is you build a good relationship, a firm relationship, foundation with your son. And then you build a second foundation or a relationship with the teacher so that there are relationships and both of them are important to the success of your son's outcome. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
teachers are used to sometimes parents. We're overprotective, and we should be, because you know it's wild out here. You just don't know someone's intentions. But you know, teachers are tired of hearing, "Oh, I know my son ain't do that," or "I know my daughter didn't do that." How do you know?
You
Now,
don't
one
know.
thing as parents too, we got to know, and I know this about my son. There's a Jew that has his personality at home, and there's a Jew that has his personality when I'm not around. And he's with his friend. He has a different dialect. He has a different attitude. He has a different approach to life, because ultimately he wants to show me respect. But when he thinks I'm not around, he has a whole different vibe that he has. And I understand that. And teachers, we have to work in concert, because the kids are working together. Let's be clear. The kids are working together to try to tell you that lie, to try to figure out a way to wiggle out of the situation. So the adults have to work together too.
Listen, guys, I really hate to do this, but this has really been educational to me. I'm sure that our audience has learned a lot from the parents, from this panel, from everything that we have said. Listen, time goes so fast when you're really having fun. But there's something that I want to lay on the table before we leave. It's not enough to identify problems. And I know tonight we have talked about some things, and there's a variety of things that we could talk about. But I also understand that there has to be solutions. I am interested in solutions as it relates to young people. Here's what I'm looking at: creating what's called a safe house, where young people can actually come here. And I want everyone to know what my thought process is, where young people can come here and where they can come and they'll be safe to actually express themselves from a verbal perspective, as well as being able to discuss matters that concern them. The world has changed, as we all know. My generation, I'm considered to be a dinosaur. The things that I came up during the time when they had black and white televisions, where you had to put some some paper over the TV in order to get
Aluminum foil.
color, and stick the antennas out the window with aluminum foil on it to just get the channels to do right. At 11 o'clock, at 12 o'clock, the TV went off. Now, I don't know what we're looking at now, but let me just say this to you. So I realized that I am a dinosaur, but there's a generation such as yourselves that are coming on who need to be able to express yourself, to speak the language that young people are speaking. I don't speak that language anymore. My position now is to provide a safe house for them, to get people such as yourselves, to get individuals who are there, to get sponsors, to get people who are willing, to get young people that are viewing us tonight, parents involved, where parents who are having difficulties with your children. I want to talk to you just for a moment, and we are going to leave. Tonight, I want you to know that there is an answer to your problem. We all have to start someplace as parents, as it has been discussed tonight, that there is no handbook that comes with how to raise a child. Your children, each one of them have different personalities. Each one of them have different needs. Our responsibilities are to help them. I heard one parent say, even though I did not know how to do certain things, I wound up in a place where I was getting therapy, not only for me, but also for my kids because of the things that I had encountered. Well, listen, there are something that's called generational curses that pass down from one generation to the next. Sometimes we ask ourselves this question, and I ask the question is, things happen to me that I don't know how my child got involved in this. Those are things that we need to talk about. I want to just piggyback on something that Desiree said. Her parents brought her up in the manner in which she should go. The scripture says to train up a child in the way that the child should go. She was brought up that way. But at the end of the day, she made decisions, and by her own hands, she made decisions, even though that there was a cry from her mother to say, come home. Here's what we're saying. I want to piggyback on that. Come home. This is a safe place for you. Come home. Her experience is more than what you're willing to actually go through. And the reason that she's here tonight is to tell you, don't do this. But there is a good side. There is a story that she did not tell, and that's the after everything was over. Can I just talk about you just for a moment? She is a successful, prolific writer. She is a person who actually has several books that she has written. Now, wait a minute, I'm confused. You did say that you were a felon, right?
Yes.
Now, according to what I know about felons, you can't vote, you can't get a job, you can't get a house, you can't do anything, right? So, but you are a successful entrepreneur, and not only that, but the last I remember that you're helping other people. Not only do you write, but you help people who can't write. In fact, I'm a witness. She helped me go back and publish my book. And y'all didn't know I had a book out. Did you listen? She helped me publish my book, gave me some instructions, and there were some things that I did not know. But I'm amazed. You're a fellow.
Yes.
So are you telling me that God is able to do exceedingly above
All.
that we could ask?
Or even imagine.
Look at that, look at that. Look, y'all gonna make me run around this table. Oh, look, I forgot. Listen, our time is gone. Our time is gone. But I need to do something.
Okay.
In a quick 2 minutes,
Okay.
in a quick 2 minutes, I want to hear final remarks from you. I want to hear final remarks from you, Jay.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
My final remarks are, like I said in the beginning, you may not have my same story, but some of you guys may be going through something. My mother told me this. You're going through it to prevent other people from going
Wow.
in,
Wow.
to show people, to encourage them while they're going through. This is what my story is. And to show people that God can still make a way out of no way. Pastor Ben said, how is it that you're doing all this and this against you, this against you, this against you. God is using me and my story, even though I thought it was at the end, to still show people that God can make a way out of no way. But it has to be a no way situation, or if you feel like you're in a no way situation, for him to make a way. And that is my story. So what I say is, stop being selfish while you're going through it. Because you're not going through it for yourself. You're going through it as a parent or a teenager, even an adult, to prevent somebody from going in, encourage those who are in it, or to be an example, to show that God still makes a way out of no way. And those are my final thoughts. To be encouraged while you're going through. You got to go through. It's not fun. But as long as you go through, you're going to get to the other side, and God is going to bless you. And those are my final thoughts. To be encouraged while you're going through.
Wow.
Amen. My final thoughts, first and foremost, there was a time when you couldn't approach the throne with your petition. You had to have someone as an intercessor for you. Do not take prayer for granted. Number one. Also, operate in love. Be transparent. Be accountable. Children are miniature adults. They have the same feelings that you have. Don't shut them down and cut them off. You'll be sorry in certain situations. I mean, there may be a situation where, God forbid, this child may be at the end of their rope. Listen to these children, okay? Ask questions. Don't always be so aggressive with the kids. Allow them some room and some leeway to be able to come to you. Work together with the powers that be. Teachers, principals, introduce yourself. Let them know that you want the lines of communication to be open with them as well. I do believe in Metro Atlanta we should have an anonymous forum where people can just digitally put in their issues, requests. We understand the culture. A lot of people don't want to be recognized for the things that they're saying. But I think that there should be something where people could just upload it. Hey, a trust line. Hey, I'm having this problem. This is what's going on in this school. This is what's going on with this teacher. This is what's going on with this gang. This is what's going on in this neighborhood. Where people can be anonymous and put things, the kids can say, teachers can say, and nobody, parents can say, and it can't get back to them. Like, we need to know what's going on. There can't be a solution if we don't know the problem. And we have to work together and, again, operate in love, man. And prayer does change things, and, we just got to operate in love. If you operate in love, everything will fall in place.
Listen, I want to thank both of you tonight for what you have done, because the wisdom that you have shared with us on tonight, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. The ultimate goal, this is my dream, is to fill this place up with nothing but young people, to have young people to come. And I want to invite our young people. I have been talking to pastors today, and I've asked them to bring their congregations, to bring their young people to our Wednesday night, that we not have any form of division between our churches, but all of us are going through the same problems. Here again, solutions of what we're looking for. I want to say this, family, before you criticize what we're doing tonight. Just know this, we're starting at this point, but God is with us. And because God is with us, this has nothing to do but grow, and it's going to grow. If God be for us, then who can be against us? I want to say good night to you right now. I am Dr. Ben Gaither, and I have your heart in mind. I have your heart in mind. I am also a parent, and I just want to let you know that we're praying for you as parents. And not only are we praying for you as parents, but we're praying for you as young people and as students in school. We're praying that God will keep you safe. Again, I'm Dr. Ben Gaither, the senior pastor of Stronghold Christian Church. We're located at 724 Rock Chapel Road in the city of Lithonia. I want to invite you to be our special guest on Sunday morning. In fact, this Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m., we will have a Power Pack encounter with God. Remember, we talked about something that's amazing. Go ahead and create your favor. Creative favor is what God is allowing us to do in this time. Until we meet again, God bless you. We'll see you next time.